driving me crazy just looking at it. Combing your hair with your hand gives me feelings I don't understand. Combing your hair with your hand gives me feelings I don't understand. You do this thing when you're biting your lip, it's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself, I don't wanna live in a world without you. You do this thing when you're biting your lip, it's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself, I don't wanna live in a world without you. World without you. Driving me crazy just looking at it. World without you. Driving me crazy just looking at it. You do this thing when you're biting your lip. Without you, driving me crazy just looking at it. Driving me crazy just looking at it. Combing your hair with your hand gives me feelings I don't understand. Combing your hair with your hand gives me feelings I don't understand. You do this thing when you're biting your lip, it's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself, I don't wanna live in a world without you. You do this thing when I'm talking to you, like everything freezes and it's just too. You do this thing when I'm talking to you, like everything freezes and it's just too. You do this thing when you're biting your lip, it's driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself, I don't wanna live in a world without you. Give it to me like world without you. Just looking at it. World without you. Driving me crazy just looking at it. You do this thing when you're biting your lip. World without you. Driving me crazy just looking at it. Driving me crazy just looking at it. You know me better than I know myself, I don't wanna live without you.
Good afternoon, people. Hope everyone's good. Hope everyone's had a good day. Suppose everyone's half knackered now. Been a long day for quite a few people. It is a question that I'm asking. I mean, where there's a lot of debate, a lot of banter, a lot of issues and everything going about, I think a lot of us are starting to all ask the same question. And it's about the picture I put up on here. Is the pint half empty or is it half full? A lot of people tell you that shows whether you're a negative person or a positive person. All down to a pint glass. Now, if I'm going to be honest, I'm the one who'll sit there and look in the pub and say, you know what? My pint's half empty. I'm going to have to knock that back and go and get another one. Whereas I've got other mates who will sit there and say, my pint's half full. Yeah, not a problem. I'll finish that off and go get another. Now, for me, it's more frustrating when it's half empty because you know you've got to go to the bar and sort it out. But I suppose that's just everything the way people look at things. And the more and more I see, the more and more I seem to think that this is how I think this divided fan base and everything, I think is the perfect question for it. I mean, and this is where I know I've done the same mistake again. I've just dropped a show out of nowhere because it was something that's been dwelling on me for a couple of hours and that. Wasn't going to do a show, wasn't going to do a show, whatever. I thought, you know what, bollocks. Got nothing else to do tonight. And obviously love having a chat with a couple of people on the side. And I just think it is a solid question. it is a solid question for people. Is Tottenham Hotspur a pint glass that is half empty or half full? I mean, for a long time, you could even say we was barely even quarter full, and at times you could even say it weren't even a pint glass. It might as well just been smashed on the floor or at the wall. But I don't think we're that bad. I don't think we're that far away anymore. Now, to be this league-winning team and everything else and that, there ain't even light at the end of the tunnel for me yet. It is a long way to go. But with a couple of the players we got, a couple of positives of last season. I mean, everybody knows for me, there was a few more negative points that I wanted to point out, but they're not end of the world problems that I point out. Like, a lot of people seem to think that where I have quite a few digs at Postecoglou, I think it's all doom and gloom. Genuinely, I really don't. I think there's hope in the fella. And it is definitely going to be a do or die transfer window for him. And this is where we're really going to see what our man is made about. We're going to see what our club is made about. It's always next season transfer. This one is the one. This is where we see what we are capable of now, because we all know we got the money, even though we didn't get Champions League. Everybody knows we got that money out there. I mean, if you can go and get a sub like Timo bloody Werner and pay him 160 grand a week, 165, sorry, you've definitely got a little bit of money in the bank. And there are some big changes that need to be made in that first team. But I definitely don't think it's all doom and gloom. So I'm going to say hello to a couple of people on the side. And this is where I would like chat on the side to get involved in this. Give me some of your positive sides. Give me some of your negative sides. And let's see if this pint glass is half empty or half full. So, first one to go to Charlie. Big up, boy. How you doing? Big up, Dan. How you been? Mate, it's been a long day. I had a lot of running about to do this afternoon. But apart from that, mate, it's been pretty cushy. I hope everything's been all right for you too, mate. I know you've been on a holiday recently, and I hope you enjoyed your holiday. In that aspect, you're bloody lucky you got a holiday. I haven't got one of them this year. Next year, yeah, we're hoping to go Croatia, and that is a place I've wanted to go for a long time. So hopefully I get my holiday next year, and hopefully I get my half pint glass full of Tottenham, not half empty. And yep, as soon as you just sent me the message, mate, you're more than welcome. There you go, I have a link, and you can pop on if you want. Anyone else wants to, feel free, send me a message. You know I don't mind having people on here. I like to hear people's opinions. I like to hear what other people have got to say. Because I know there's a lot out there, pardon me, who do have the attitude of half empty, half full. All right, Anthony Clark, AFC. How you doing, mate? Big up to you too. Tony, always on here. Top fella, mate. Dan, big up Dan and the chat. And we have Hadrian's Wall. Okay, different name. I'll give you that one, mate. Big up to Dan and Levy out. Massive you to the boys. And Paul 123. All right, Dan. Good up to you too, mate. R709. Big up, Dan. Big up you. Hope your day's been great. And who do we have here? Marshall. There is no callous to drink drip. Okay, fair enough. If I read that right. And Race and Brian. Big up Dan in the chat. Hadrian's Wall again. Tony Rodriguez in the house. Big up. They're saying hello to you too, mate. And Marshall, there is no chalice to drink from. There maybe ain't no chalice, but there's definitely a pint glass there. There's always a pint glass there. But whether it's half empty or half full is a different story. And on here, Marshall saying again, it's definitely been a long day. Peter, how you doing, mate? Hope everything's good. Hi, all. 5:15 a.m. in Melbourne. God, what are you even doing up at that time, mate? I mean, over here, it's only just getting to daylight at that time now. but I don't like to be up at that time. But sometimes you have to. Then Marshall again. I'm in the McDonald's parking lot waiting for your content. I've just got off work. Big up to you too. And audio, how you doing, mate? Evening Dan in the chat. Brian, top fella, how you always doing, mate? Send me the message if you want to pop on. You're more than welcome. And Ryan, I would say I'm a pessimistic with this club, to be honest. And it is perfectly understandable why. I mean, we all know why we can be, but surely there is something in there to be positive about. Audio, big up to Brian. And Brian, big up to Audio. David, big up yourself, Dan. Big up to you too, mate. Hope you had a good day. Phil Coins, evening, Dan. And to the chat, Spurs fan. All right, Dan. All right, mate. Again, same as I say to everyone. Hope you... hang on a second. 1 second there, just got to do something quick. And there we go. So, let me bring on my mate here. We all know him, Charlie Holland. Haven't seen him for a long while because he's been on holiday. Mate, how was your holiday?
Great. Well, I see the light's not really working. It was amazing, man. I really had a great time. Just been chilling a lot. And really just keeping in mind of Spurs. Didn't have to worry about them for a while. Just been chilling. And then school, of course, which is getting hard because I'm getting into the exams bit. So a lot of focus on that now.
That's where you get the priorities right, mate, right? And that's not the football and it's not doing this. You got to get your exams right. That is your priority.
Yeah, that's the reason I haven't been on that much and I haven't been making any content really. I've just been studying every day. It's been it's just...
Well, you stick to it that way, mate, because that's how it's got to be, because that's how your life's going to go from there, mate. So you make sure you stick to that stuff. I mean, if everything don't go right, you've always got college that can fix things, but that ain't the way to look at it. You get this stuff right. And by the same of it, you seem like an intelligent kid. You get it done. Right. And Tom 81, evening everyone. Champagne Club, Lemonade Team. I can see why people say that. And David, I don't think we get Eze anymore because of the Werner thing. Well, this is one thing I haven't really heard your opinion about on. So we start on the half empty side on that one. What was your opinion on Timo Werner? And I'm not going to go long into this one.
For me, I don't know. I'm not happy, but it's another year loan. And I don't think it will do anything with the transfers in any way because it doesn't take anything of the transfer budget. It just goes into the salary bit, I think. So I'm disappointed, but I'm not devastated. I think we'll still get back. We'll still get like starting 11 players in that position.
You think so?
I do because Ange himself wants it too. And I don't know. I'm not going to say anything until we've seen what's happened in the transfer window because we can all be saying who we want and what we think, but we can't really take a verdict, take a point until it's happened. You know what I mean? I feel like setting up conclusions before the transfer window's even opened, I don't want to do that yet. So I'm a bit neutral right now.
Yeah, I must admit it threw me off the edge totally, where it made me say Ange out and everything because I was pretty disgusted that he basically brought in a player that he not far off said was one of the problems up front. I just still can't get my head around the fact that he stated there was problems up front and we bought one of the problems. It didn't make sense to me. So I've got a message on here, Spurs fan. I'll come on, Dan. Tell you what, I'll put a link on here. I am not going to have 10 people on here. I just have not got the brain capacity for that tonight. But there you go. There's a link. If a couple of people want to come on and give their opinion on this one, you know, on my shows, your opinions are always welcome. And now I've lost where I was on there. There we go. And Adrian, good evening, Dan, Charlie, and all. Good evening to you too, mate.
Even
Peter, my only problem is with Werner is his injury. Do you know what, mate? That is a weird thing. I mean, because the injury, from what I've seen, from what I've heard, it's a level 3 hamstring injury. And that is about as bad as it gets. That's either been totally ripped or it's been severed. I don't think his hamstring would have been to the point where it's been severed, but he's definitely got a serious injury there. And we've gone and got him on loan. Okay, couple of months till the season starts. I get all that. It's just still got some strange things to it. And Brian, how are we doing, mate?
I'm all right, brother. I'm all right. Good to be with you, Dan. Always a pleasure. And big up, Charlie. I hope you're good, matey.
Good. How are you, Brian?
We're getting there. And hello to everyone in the chat. I do love these little pop-ups where you just appear, Dan. It's very good.
It's not very healthy for it the way it does it, and that I've got to start being more consistent. I have, but sometimes when you're sitting there and you're trying to think about something to talk about, what can I do my next show about? You're like, there's no football going on, there's nothing in particular going on, and then the news will come up in the morning, and you haven't really got much time to put it about. But then there's other ones like me, you get a bit of spare time, and then just for some reason, something just comes off the top of your head, and you think, you know what, bollocks, I need to get that out on the channel. And if people notice it and come on, which a few people have, there it goes. I mean, I'm not even going to ask you your opinion on Timo Werner. I think everyone knows that one by now.
Yeah.
And and Tom, big up to you too, mate. And Tony saying big up to you, Brian. Tom, hope everyone is well. Hope you're good as well, mate. Adrian, Spurs AGM tomorrow. Wait for it, laugh out loud. That is something you pointed out earlier. That is something I will be looking forward to do a show on later on during the day. And Reza saying, Chris Coleman, what do you know about him? Chris Cowling, what do you know about him? I know enough, and that's all I'm going to say on that.
I will say one thing about it, Chris. Actually,
go on, mate.
And I'll give him a bit of credit with it because listen, I don't watch his channel. I don't have the time, and there's some channels that obviously they avoid a subject that I'm very passionate about. So the fact that it's not spoken about annoys me sometimes, but I understand channels have the right to put out what content they want. It's what you do, Dad. It's what we all do.
Exactly.
I had never ever met him before, and then after the Newcastle game where we lost 6-1, me and everyone ramped up the protest for the next game, which was the Manchester United 2-2 last season. And there was a big turnout for us. And then someone let me know where we protest, just a little bit further down, going towards the corner. Chris Cowling was there doing an interview with Sky. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to walk down and try and corner him and have a chat with him. And he saw me as he was finishing the interview. He came over to me and went, all right, Brian, I knew who I was. And we actually had a very, very decent chat. He's actually, as a person, and it's the only interaction I've ever had with him. Never exchanged tweets or anything. Never been on a show with him. When I was speaking to him, he was saying, he does say stuff that he's unhappy with the board, but that's as far as he'll go. I'm unhappy with the board. The board need to do better. Whereas we will obviously speak about it a lot more vocally, a lot more harshly. It will dominate a lot of our channels' talking points because it is a major thing for us because we are obviously Levy out. But the only interaction I have had with him, he actually came across as a decent guy. Forget Tottenham and what he thinks is best for the club and what I think is best for the club. Him as a person was actually, I will say, I got nothing bad saying about him on there. Do I agree with his views on the ownership? No, I don't. But the one time I did see him, it was a pleasant exchange.
Mm-hmm.
It is all right. Like, I don't agree with what he says, but obviously I come in for a lot of heat from people that don't support Levy out because of how I come across, but they don't know me as a person. And it's the same with Chris Cowling. I don't know him as a person. I had one interaction with him, and it was a nice interaction, is all I'll say. But obviously, we didn't get into the nuts, the what you say, the nooks and crannies, or the whatever, or the Levy in or Levy out. But like I said, I don't agree with where he stands with the board, but that's his opinion. Like he doesn't agree with me. So, God,
there you go.
God, that was a lot longer than I thought I'd speak.
That's all right. And that's the point. What it all comes down to for me, it's purely opinion. Just because someone's got a different opinion to you, it don't make them a bad person. And like I keep repeating myself, you haven't got to respect anybody's opinion. You've just got to try and get their opinion, or just accept they've got a different opinion to you. Respect is something you earn, and that's something I say all the time. But that's just the way I look at life, and everybody looks at things different, yeah. But when someone's got a different opinion to you, you can debate it all the way down. But when you know it gets to that point where no one's backing down, do you know what? You just say, let's go to the next bit, because there's just no point on just carrying on debating when it's pure about opinions. But with that, just say hello to a couple more on the side. Raymond Son, Dan be smoking, falls on debates. Big up yourself, Dan. Levy out. Big up to you too, mate. Kevin G, just the froth left in the glass for me. Oh, come on, mate. I don't think it's that bad. And Razor Blazer saying, when do we cash in on Sonny? That is a very good question. Something I don't see us doing in the near future. And then the Bertie Hotspur, big up everyone, smash a like and subscribe. We want our Tottenham glory days back. Don't believe the snake. We never did get our Tottenham back. Levy out, Ennick out, Donna Cullen out. Well said. That's all I can say on that one, mate. And hope you're having a good day as well. And Spurs fan on here. Cool, what's he saying now? Dan, my computer has a virus, mate. Yep, then do not come on here. Easiest way to deal with that virus, if you're not sure on how things are done, go and get Bitdefender, get it on your machine. You can get a deal on them for about $30, $35, and that Bitdefender will totally destroy the virus, depending what sort of virus it is. Whether it's a worm, whether it's a troll, whether it's a serious virus, whatever. But go to Bitdefender, and I can claim that is the best. I can claim that is the best one out there. On personal opinion, but that will sort the computer out. And Razor saying Chris is a Levy supporter, then let him be. That's his opinion. And Bertie Hood, big up Brian. You got it. Tom 81, outside his channel, Chris Coley. Chris does get the Levy out, unlike some of the other channels. Either way, like I said, that is just down to other people on just how they see things. And I suppose that's what you could say that makes people, humans, if that's what we call ourselves, unique. We are all different and see things very different. So let's get to the point on this one. And I'm not going to do one side, another side sort of thing. I'm going to try to throw it a bit back and forth here. Almost make it more complicated than it needs to be. So, with you two,
yep,
give me a positive side of why this pint at Spurs is half full. I'll go with you, Charlie, first.
A positive side. What do you mean with positive? Like the pint? What do you mean with that? Like we're doing well or doing?
Well, is the pint at Spurs? Is it half empty or is it half full? You know,
I'd say half full.
What? Give me a positive side of Spurs at the moment. Don't have to give me a whole set, because we got plenty to say.
We got fifth. We got into Europe this season. That's a positive.
Okay. And Brian?
Yeah, do you know what? I'm gonna say what I just said on Tottenham on tour and what I tweeted. Listen, the news today about the 4 players leaving. If you look at it now, as you know, Dan, I'm trying to go down the route of you trap more flies with honey than you do vinegar. And if I just keep bitching about everything wrong this club does and getting it straight and just blaming everything on Levy, then it'll be like, oh, this guy, all he does is talk, everything is Levy. The fact that tomorrow is Wednesday or Thursday, whatever it is, that's Levy. But you look at it, Japhet Tanganga and Sessegnon both had year contract extensions. They both had the option to sign. And I can understand Sessegnon, obviously, we know we can't guarantee. Millwall were looking to pay money for him. But Spurs have said, you know what? Done. We're done with it. Go sort your career out. Go get a move.
Who's that with Sessegnon?
No, with Tanganga. Tanganga had an option.
Tanganga?
Tanganga had the option we had the option to extend his contract for another year, and with Millwall heavily interested, probably gets 3 million or something for him. We did this discussion the other day, didn't we, Dan? We went through the players on your channel. But Spurs for once have turned around and said, you know what? No, off you go. And it's worked out. And listen, you know me, I don't give a monkey when people start using the figures and the spreadsheets. We've saved 370 grand a week on wages today. As of today. Now,
because that's about 4 players we got out today, isn't it?
That's 4 players out. I mean, listen, Dyer and Perisic, their contracts were ending anyway. So that was Sessegnon and Tanganga had the option for Spurs to extend it for another year. And now the fact that they've done that, which is something different because they don't normally do this, they will normally take the extra option to hopefully get money for the player. Now, obviously, it's all well and good them doing it now. It's now that we've got this money saved in wages, do we go and get 2 players and give them the big wages? Or do we go and do what we normally do and get 4, 5, 6 players and it's just replacing like for like rather than upgrading the quality? But I've got to say Spurs cut ties with 2 players that had the option to extend. They've never done this. So that is a positive today. Today is a positive. In 2-3 weeks, if they haven't acted on it, or we have the same as the summer windows we normally do, then it's what was the point of doing that? But you've got to give a little bit of credit to if the club do something right, because it's all we want. Listen, all I want the club to do is act like a football club, not a business. Yep. That's all I want you to do, and start treating the on-the-field stuff like you do with the off-the-field stuff. And today, they have done that. So do you know what? For once, well done. You've acted like a football club once in the last 4 or 5 years. Well done. Well done. Now you need to continually do this over and over and over and over again.
I agree. And that is one thing I am a firm believer on. Whether you like it or not, or like the person or not, you've got to give credit where credit's due. I'm not going to go into the full thing, but there's a lot of stuff you can give Levy credit about, and there's a hell of a lot of stuff you can slam him about. But sometimes you just got to give the credit when it's due. And fair play to you, Brian, for that one.
Yeah.
So I would personally go with already what got said. Us getting in the Europa Cup, 5th place in the Europa Cup, is a definite half-pint fall for me. So there's something we have definitely will agree on that one. With the players letting them go, I mean, if he has actually let Tanganga go for free, I'm a bit shocked in that because he could have got 4 or 5 million for him. If he's just letting him go to just get him out and whatever, so we can progress on the club, fair play, Levy. That's all I can really say on that one. Right. So we'll go to a different side here. I'll start with you, Brian. Give me a negative. Not one from 24 years ago or whatever and that. Let's try and keep it within the past 3-4 years sort of thing.
Well, look, you know what? This is me kind of being a little bit picky. And yesterday I was ready to go mad on it. I think I did send it to Tom81 who I can see he's in the chat. We know we've all spoken about Tosin Adebayo, and last season would he have made a good try? And I really wanted him last season, really wanted him. But obviously we didn't get him. We went Dragusin. We weren't going to sign him because we got too many right-sided defenders. But Chelsea have got the here we go yesterday for him. People are making moves, and I saw that deal with Tosin Adebayo, and I'm like, so wait a minute. A team that has got to sell to avoid PSR and FFP issues are signing players when they're struggling for money. All right, it was a free transfer, but obviously his wages. Yeah, we're flush with cash, in a strong position, ready to go, had the so-called meeting to plan strategies, and we're silent. It's like we're waiting. What I would say, and this is me being very, very nitpicky because you said don't go back in years. It's kind of like Spurs have said, you know what, we won't make any moves financially till the 14th of June when the window opens. So everyone gets the same time. It's like, no. Take advantage of the position you're in. You look at it now, Eze listen, it could be happening behind the scenes for all I know. The entire England team are at Tottenham Hotspur way as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
Is there not an easier time when they're not training to say, let's have a quick chat? For all I know, it could be happening. For all I know, but I just want to see us. I just want to see us making moves early. Yes, Werner has done them. We said we don't really want to talk about that deal, but I would hope that we would already be making some moves. And I'm annoyed. And listen, the window hasn't opened, but you can start. Hey, I didn't say anything about us signing. Hey, I wasn't saying about us signing him. You should listen to what I was saying, Kate, darling. That's not what I said. I said I wanted him last season. We weren't able to get him. Now he's gone to Chelsea. I'm annoyed that Chelsea are making moves when they're under financial constraints. We're the exact opposite, and we're not.
It does come across a bit weird, doesn't it?
Yeah. The team that is struggling and needs to sell, and like I said, it's a free transfer. It is a free transfer, but his wages will be a big outlay. So they're finding the money to do that when they've got to clear a load off the books, whereas we're in a very, very, very strong position, and it's crickets. But like I said, a lot of things can be getting done under the radar, but teams are making moves and flexing their muscles now, ready for when the window opens, whilst we're being stagnant. But by the looks of things.
Because you just never know what is going on behind in the storybook, do you? And
exactly.
With Spurs, we are probably the worst ones for it. I mean, in some ways, we've got all the newspaper talk on the bloody planet every time it comes to bloody transfers, but you're like, where actually is it? Is it? You just don't know. Some of it you look at and you know it's just complete and utter bullshit. But some of it you look at and you think, you know what, that actually looks possible, but you just hear nothing of it until maybe the end. So you're basically saying that your negative side at the moment is the players' side at the moment, that we don't seem to be moving apart from that Timo Werner deal. You haven't really heard nothing go through. Well, I can sort of counter you on that one, because this Eze deal is getting spoke about quite a lot. And personally, I think it's going to go through. And
I wanted him over Maddison last season. If he signs, I will be absolutely goddamn ecstatic. I will be over the goddamn moon.
Mm. Yeah, I really do honestly think this Eze deal is going to go through. And like I've explained, I think we're the best option he's got, because I don't think Liverpool need him. I'm not saying they wouldn't buy him as a all-round squad player as such and that, but for 60, 70 million, I don't think, unless you're Man City, you go and do that. Arsenal definitely don't need him. Man U don't need him. Chelsea don't need him. Man City, it wouldn't surprise me if they went for him, but I'm pretty sure if he's got any intelligence of a player and wants to be a player and not just rake the money in, he's not going to go there, because, I mean, look what happened to Calvin Phillips.
Yep.
Yeah, look what happened to him, because he was looking pretty good. And that's that. And I can see this as a deal going through. I really can. And for me, that's a positive thing if it does. But anyway, Charlie, give me a negative point
about the club. I'd say upping the season tickets and not giving the same discounts for season tickets. That's a negative. But I've got other negatives too. The same with, we could get Eze, but I think we will get him. But I'm scared we're not being linked with other very big players, and I'm scared we're going to have only one very good player. That's what I'm scared of, because we are the best in FFP. We literally are the top of FFP. We're FFP kings, but we don't seem to show it. Levy doesn't like to let everyone know that. Even Levy loves to let everyone know that he is the FFP king, but doesn't show it in the way he spends. And I'm a bit annoyed in that way. That's a negative. And you could say the second half of this season was a bloody negative, and that we didn't get enough reinforcement in the January window. Looking back at it, I say a negative.
Joe, let me try and say my negative in a different way as well. Again, it's ITKs that we heard it from yesterday, whatever. Obviously, at the end of the season, we were told we'd had like Ange had given his plans, who he wants, what he wants, like our targets, objectives. And then obviously yesterday, we heard Spurs are doing this case by case. And if we lose a right back, we'll get a right back. And if we do this, we'll get that. That's not a plan. Listen, until the window opens, this is silly season at the moment. It's silly season, and to tell you the truth, at the moment, I'm getting the vibes of when we got the 150 million from Conte. And then we were linked with every single goddamn player under the sun. And then it started off positive and then fizzled out. We'll see. Like I said, today the move that they made in getting rid of those two players, apart from Perisic and Dyer, was actually a positive for me. And I was like, well done, Spurs. Well done.
Mm. So with that one, so what was your negative side there, Charlie?
Well, the season tickets buff, and that we didn't do that. Looking back, that in January we didn't get enough reinforcements. Seeing how many flaws we had in the season, seeing who went out, who went in. I don't have a lot of negatives this season. A lot off the top of my head. I'm so out of Spurs. I'm just trying to think something off the rack of my head. So those the three things. That we're FFP kings and don't show it in the way we spend, but show it in the way in the media. That's another negative.
Yeah, I can definitely agree. I can definitely agree with everything that's said. So I'm just going to read up a couple of the side. I mean, I'm slowly getting the hang of this, of how to still keep the people on the side while you're having a chat. But bloody hell, is it hard work in that aspect. I thought it was easy. When Savvy used to do it like on his show and that, and he'd tell me he was nearly an hour behind. I'm like, how did you do that? Yes, I've learned how to do that. Yeah, it is not easy. But Lee Music, putting the work in on this panel shows Dan. Love it. Watch for 4 hours on one of yours already today. Cheers, mate. It's much appreciated. Always see you on here as well. We've got another guest coming on in a minute, and oh my God, we are definitely going to have a challenge. So I'm going to leave people to leave their imagination with him for 2 minutes. Right, Paul Brown's, never mind negative ambition. How about no ambition? Yes. Do you know what? It's when people like you, Paul Browns, come up with comments like that, I have to just basically go, you win. I can't argue it.
Yeah,
I can't defend it. I can't even debate it with you. I can't even give you a fucking opinion on it because it is fucking true. But we'll leave that one at that. And Nicholas Cousins, I want to know what's happening about striker movement. I think that's one we're all interested in. And Kate, good to see you on here. Hope you're doing well, lady. Hope everything's good for you. Yeah, I typed it as you said. I'm in bed poorly, so on delay. Well, I hope you get better soon. And do you know what? It's probably something to do with the weather, because the weather keeps getting warm and then it keeps pissing down with rain and then it keeps doing this. And I find that doesn't actually make people ill, apart from being a Tottenham supporter. I think it makes most of us ill, innit? I mean, by the time you see the average season with Spurs, it's like you have to go to a bloody psychiatrist, isn't it? And that's not exactly an exaggeration. Right. Dietrich, my man, how are we doing?
How's everyone doing?
Well, you've got a hard job here, mate, because you ain't just going negative on me here. You've got to go positive as well.
Listen, we're Canadian. We're Canadian. Dietrich can do positive, and it's summertime here, and the weather is the exact opposite it is back home. We're happy people at the moment.
Yeah, I'm super happy, but it's way too hot, so I'm gonna complain.
Right. So that's two negatives we've come up, two positives we've come up. Right.
Okay.
I'm going to go to positive one again. And the one I definitely would say is a positive, even though you could say the majority wasn't exactly worked out. I mean, Maddison for me was my upset of the season on how good he was and how much of a flop he turned out to be in the last bit of the season. But I think we made two, maybe even three, even though he was made the season before, very, very, very good transfers. Obviously, VDV, Vicario, and Udoji. Now, for me, that is a very positive thing. Now, I know two of those players was our second choice players. But on the positive side of that as well, at least we had decent second choice players on the list. Because when I see you go for transfers and that, yeah, you want your main man. But you've got to have your list as well for if you can't get what you want, like adapting to a football match, basically. And I think those three signings we got,
Dan,
even though
Conte
there's
signed,
moments,
Conte signed the doggy.
yeah, but I'm saying he came in this season.
Oh, yeah, okay.
When we see him. That's what I said. I know we signed him the season before, but this is the season we got him.
Misunderstood you.
Can I just say something quickly about? Sorry to cut you off, Dan.
Go on.
It is the first time we signed a target that is in our top 3 position. Usually we go for A, B, C. We never sign A, B, C. We go to F or Z.
That is what I'm saying.
This is the
That is
first
why
time.
this is positive.
Yeah.
That's why this is positive. So I'd say with 3 of the signings we got, very good ones at that, VDV, Vicario, and Udoji, I would definitely say that was definitely a very positive side of this season, even of the past 3 years, basically.
Even
Brian?
signing a pro on a permanent.
Yeah, I can go with that as well. So I'd say a couple of the signings we have made are definitely on the positive side. Brian?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, you name those 3 players, and big up Craig, brother. I've just seen you come in. You look at it. You could have said at the start of the season that 4 of our signings, including Destiny, and like Charlie said, I count him like you, Dan, that it was his first season. Yes, he was brought in by another manager. The start of the season, 4 of our players could have made team of the season very, very easily. Let alone team of the season. When was the last time we've got into a summer and have 4 of our players come in and set the ground running, playing like that? Obviously, Maddison was a huge letdown at the end of the season. Van der Ven to me is just the cream of the crop. I just think he's absolutely incredible. Destiny, I think, will only get stronger. And Vicario, listen, I made a massive rant on We Are Tottenham TV when we lost out to Raya, but boy was I happy to be wrong. Boy was I
told you, Brian, Raya will not be missed, and the only reason that fella got keeper of the season is because he had a flipping good defense in front of him. But the only reason I knew of Vicario is because I followed Italian football.
Of course.
I told you from day, Brian, don't worry, mate, this man is better.
You did
There's been other times you've called me out. So it's not about calling the other one out. I think I used the wrong phrase. It's just some people could call out a fella for me and I'd just be like, who the hell is that? It's just people follow different leagues.
Completely. But that's the thing, Dan. You and I are 2 of the people that if we say we're wrong, or if we're wrong, no issues to say
I'm wrong.
We are wrong. And I was very, very, very wrong with Vicario.
Right. Just a quick one I'm going to do. United Spurs of America, Jacob. You've never been there, mate. I'm going to put a link on here purely for you. Please do come on and give us some of your comments on here. Purely opinions. No debate really going on. I've never been on a show with him. I've never had him on a show. So there's the stream. I've just put it on now. If you wish to, you don't have to. But if you wish to and you want to give your opinion to this as well, feel free, mate. The link is now on the bottom of the screen for you to jump on if you wish to. And yeah, like you're saying, Brian, when you get it right, you get it right. When you get it wrong, you've got to be man enough to put your hands up and say you got it wrong. So you would also agree with me that the signings in general, the good signings we got was definitely a positive side, and the way we got them.
Yeah, but also, like I said, yeah, I'll even extend on what you said, because you'll remember as well, I said going into January, I said I don't care who's coming in. What I want to see if there's a bit of change is that the only thing I'm saying is if players come in early. And guess what? 2 players came in early, and the very first thing I did was say, "Well done, Tottenham. Well done to Ange. Well done to Levy, because you did. That's all I asked for you to make your moves early." And I stick to what I say. So you can say, "Listen, we all know there were certain transfers that haven't worked. We're not going to list them and go into them." But I think there were positives to take from the transfer window. Don't get me wrong, there were negatives, but you can't deny that there definitely was positives this summer.
I think the positives outweighed the negatives, basically.
That's the best way to say it, yeah.
Right. Charlie,
Can I just...
hang on a sec. Let Charlie have his bit. You're positive, basically. Doesn't necessarily have to be the players we just spoke about or whatever, that, but give us a positive.
Yeah, of course, getting top 5, just getting into Europe was a positive, especially from last season. Yeah, the signings, of course, massive positive. They've really brought something up into this Tottenham, and how Ange's. What I really think is a positive too is the way Ange has made the players play better compared to last season. How they've outperformed what we thought they would have done this season. I think that's a real positive, because if you look at the players we had last season and you see how they're playing this season, like Papa Matasar, he wasn't playing that good. All that you had Richarlison, who's having a better season. You can have a different team, but he's having a better season. Scored more goals, have more assists. Everyone has been playing more up to standard, and I think that's a massive positive of this season. And to the signs, of course.
Yeah, I can go with that one. And Dietrich, give me a positive.
Positive?
I know that's hard for you, mate, but you're gonna have to do it.
One positive is Brian Diggle still didn't find Levy, so that's one positive.
Shut up, mate. Seriously, try, man. I know this is a struggle for you, brother. Yeah, but come on, man, put the fucking effort in.
Yeah, okay. I'll say one positive. I'm happy we got Van de Ven, Vicario, and those players. But if I said I'm 100% positive, I'll be lying.
Right, but
because
that's good. Go on.
The only thing I'll say about Van de Ven, I wish we got him earlier. But I'm happy we have him. That's the only thing I'm gonna say. But I'm super happy we have a world-class defender.
So you're basically going with what me and Brian said on the positive.
And another positive. No, wait, actually, I just reminded. And for the first time, Levy gave a manager the players he needs.
So can I just Fabrizio Romano's just tweeted something. It's not Tottenham related, but it could, because I don't know if Nick Collison is still in the chat.
I saw it.
And he wanted striker info or striker update. He's just tweeted, obviously we know what's going on with Man City, but there's been big rumours that Alvarez is going to leave this window. And apparently Atletico Madrid and Paris Saint-Germain are showing interest, and obviously Paris are to replace Mbappe. But apparently there's several keen clubs, and also from England. Now, if I was looking for a striker right now, if I could get Alvarez, I'd take Alvarez in a heartbeat.
Over Tony?
Yes.
I would take Ivan Tony.
I'll take Alvarez in a heartbeat. But again, it depends on the way we're looking at it and targets we're going for, and the homegrown quota. And I don't know how we're teetering on foreign imports. But if Alvarez was available and there's English teams looking at him, I hope to God we are one of them.
Okay. So at the moment, obviously, it's quite even at the moment. So now we go to a negative side. I'm going to start this one off. I mean, it'd be very easy to say no trophy. Yeah. I mean, that one is just one I think we can all agree on. Yeah. It's a negative side of the season. No trophy. Do we all agree on that?
I have to disagree.
You disagree? Okay, go on.
Because not having a trophy is always a negative. But in this season and the expectation we had at the start, we would not. If we said at the start we would not win a trophy this season, we would not call that a negative. It would just be we'd accept them. It would be a stepping stone for next season to try to win a trophy next season.
But that's always a negative, not having a trophy. It's negative no matter what.
But then we've been having a negative for the last
24 years.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So on our standards, it's not a negative. That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, we've got standards now. We can go around it. We can do whatever we want. We've got standards. We don't win a trophy every season. And how we've done this season, nobody was expecting us to win a trophy. Nobody. That's how I feel about it. So I don't say it is a negative because I was not expecting to win a trophy. You weren't expecting to win a trophy. So a negative is something. Let's say we expected to win a trophy, then it would have been a negative. But
so Charlie, did you just say going into this season I wasn't expected to win a trophy?
I'm talking about the season we had the first
with no European football and one game a week.
Yeah, with a new manager,
I was expecting a trophy, or at least to get to the final stages. Of at least, listen, we know what happened with the Carabao Cup. We got drawn against Man City, but without European football and only one game a week, damn right, I was expecting a trophy more than most seasons. We should have attacked that more than anything and gone to get this monkey off our back. I can understand what you're saying, but for me, my two things this season just gone was to my whole season to base success was finishing the season with the manager we started it with and taking the domestic cup seriously. That was my only two requests or gauges for success. I definitely expected a trophy this year, or at least to compete, shall I say, for them.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's got to be a negative because he didn't even take that first cup serious as far as I'm concerned. And I still say that's one of the biggest mistakes I've ever seen a manager do, especially when you haven't got a club like Man United used to, when he could have won that League Cup and we could have finished 10th and people would have been happy. So for me, that is a negative. So Charlie says it's not a negative. Brian, I think you're saying that is a negative. Dietrich?
It's 100% negative. We accept mediocrity. That's the problem. We had one game a week, no excuses. We could at least reach a final like Chelsea with Poch, but nobody took the cup seriously. So of course it's a negative.
But guys, if we would have got to the final and we would have lost the final, it would not have been a positive. Why would that be a positive? We would have lost the final. We'd been even more distraught.
Okay, Charlie, that's getting to a final. Getting to a final is what we want.
Yeah.
If you get to a final, did you think Manchester United was going to win against Manchester City in the FA Cup? You never know. The final is one game and one game only. You get to the final. If someone had said to me, Ange's first season, we finished 5th and got to a final of an FA Cup, I think there'd be so many more people. So, Jacob, I think there'd be so many more people that would be. I've seen a lot of people doubt Ange or say they're Ange out, which I'm not on board with at all. If we'd got to a final, it would have also been a massive thing for the players to say, you know what, we can do this, we can get there. You never know until you get to the final, mate. Never know. If you had said to me 5th in an FA Cup final defeat, I'd have taken that over 5th and nothing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would have took it if we finished 10th and got the League Cup. So, Jacob, welcome on the channel. First time you've had you on here. Thanks for coming on. I mean, what we are basically doing is weighing up the positives and negatives. Is the point half full or half empty at Spurs? The bit I bring you in on is we are on a negative side, and I think me, Brian, and Dietrich have agreed on this one, and Charlie's got his different opinion to him. More than welcome to it, and I think he made some solid points with it. Would you say that the fact that we did not win a trophy this year is negative?
I would say the fact that we haven't won a trophy every year is a negative every single year. I think it's okay to weigh the positives and the negatives together, but when you put it black and white, which apologies, I'm with my kids. My wife is at work, so you're going to hear a screaming child every now and then. But hopefully my audio is not too bad. So for me, not winning a Carabao Cup is a huge disappointment. I would classify that as a failure. Same thing with the FA Cup. Now, Premier League trophy, I wouldn't say that that's necessarily a negative. I don't know. We are nowhere near that kind of thing. But I agree with Brian when you say that, you know, see, someone's calling me a hippie. That's funny.
I'm not even that far ahead of it yet, mate. I'm about 10 minutes behind.
No, I really just think that for me, yeah, man. If the simple question, you don't win a trophy, that is a negative on the season. You should demand that you win a trophy every year. I know there's only 3 up for grabs if you're not in European competition, but if you look at the winners, United weren't that great this year. They were still able to get it done. Liverpool
Exactly.
had moments of being fantastic. They were able to get it done. Now I don't know that we'd be able to pull off some of the results they had, but some teams get it easier walks than others. We had Fulham in the first round, which obviously Fulham, I think they got 6 points over Arsenal, which were a heavily better side than us. So I think that Fulham are no slacks. But we're Tottenham. You're still supposed to be able to go out there and beat Fulham at the end of the day. So yeah, if we didn't win a trophy, absolutely that's a negative.
It is a negative one. So I think on that one, yeah, definitely on the negative side. So let's go to a positive side. Now, I must admit, I'm not the biggest fan of Ange's football, but it's for different reasons. I cannot stand this inverted wingback crap. But again, that is just purely opinionated. But the fact that we actually took some chances going forward and actually played possessive football with a bit of attacking football instead of just sitting back in our half, which again I think might have worked better, but either way, I would say that's definitely a positive side because for I'd say 90% of the fans, it was actually a very positive thing that we actually took some attacking football instead of what we was used to in sitting back for the past 3 years, basically. So I'd say for the fact that we did try and do the attacking football is a positive side. Dietrich? Are you there?
So what did you say?
Great panel. Great panel,
the fact that we went over to that we actually tried some attacking football this year, even though it didn't work over well in the end, and even though it basically was more possession football in the end, but we actually tried attacking football this year. I would say that is a positive thing.
I don't see it as a positive. As long as you win, for me, that's the main goal. If we play defensive, attacking, like any style, I just don't care. As long as we win games. And unfortunately, we lost so many games and conceded that many goals. So I don't think it's much of a positive, in my opinion.
No,
I don't
okay,
think so.
Fair enough. Brian?
I'll tell you what, one positive I was just thinking of at the time is one of the things that did impress me, and I'll talk about, you were talking about style of play, so I'll talk about on the pitch. And I can't remember the last time where I saw someone do this for us, is we had a manager that wasn't scared to take his captain off if he was having a bad game. Whether it be Son or Son was out and someone was having a bad game, it weren't like, right, you're my captain, you're staying on even if you're playing crap. If I think I can make a difference and I need to bring one of the big names off, he'd do it. If you're willing to bring your captain off, you're willing to make the bold changes. Did he do it often enough? That's neither here nor there. But there are times that I've seen where a captain of a club is having a stinker, but just because he's the captain, he seems to be untouchable. So seeing that Ange does have that kind of ruthless streak in him, to say, right, if something ain't working, I will change. Listen, we all know about the set pieces and that didn't work, but I thought seeing that he's more than prepared to bite the bullet and take his captain off is a bold move. And I took that as a positive.
Yeah, I can go with that one. And I'm just going to bring this one up for a reason particular, because like I said, Jake, I'm a bit behind myself. Look, just to anyone on the chat, yeah, there's nothing wrong with a bit of banter. I get all that, but I've invited these people on here purely because I want separate opinions. He does his own show. He gives his own opinions. I don't agree with a few things he says. He definitely doesn't agree with a few things I say. But that is the thing on my show. You have got your opinion, yeah. So please, people, just keep it civil. Just keep it civil. On the side.
Civil? That's something different, Dad.
Yeah, just
Who's Kevin
Go
Nash?
down that route.
that's where you can tell I've had a pint before I've done this. So people, just keep it.
Who's
keep it
Kevin
simple.
Nash?
He's
I've
a
given that. What's
WWE
the
wrestler.
point?
He's an ex-WWF wrestler.
Maybe that was a compliment. I don't know.
Well, look, if someone said you look like Triple H, it would have been a compliment.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, I've got 2 more minutes. I've got to go. So, guys, thank you so much for having me on, Dan. Have a good one, Jake. Have a good one, Dexter. Have a good one, Brian. And
Good night, Charlie, brother.
And nice to meet you. Take care.
All right then, Charlie. Have a
come
good
on.
time, mate, and you make sure you get your stuff done on there.
I will, man. Have a good
Now,
one.
so you would say that's a positive thing as well. We basically he had the bottle to take the captain off. Brian?
Sorry, I was just typing something in. No, listen, it doesn't matter who the captain is. Now, I know people all of a sudden might be thinking, oh my God, I'm talking about Son. I love Heung-Min's son. I'm saying the captain. There were other players, people that captain when Son was at the Asia Games. It doesn't matter if your captain is having a bad game and you need to make a change, there's not a lot of people that will take their captains off. And for me, that is to say, listen, your place ain't safe. If you're having a bad game, I will take you off. For me, that can only keep you on your toes. For me, that can only make you want to know that just because you're one of the top players doesn't mean if you're playing crap, you're going to get given a pass. So I took that as a positive.
Yeah, I can totally agree with that one. So it's definitely, I'd say, 2 positives we've come up there with. And Dietrich?
No, scusi. Positive. Well, I don't know, man. I actually don't see any positive with this club. I'm not trying to be negative. I actually don't see. I think nothing we did last season was a positive. Like, I'm not trying to just trying to be controversial, but
Come on, man. You've got to come up with something positive, you see. Surely. It can't just all be negative.
because the first 10 games were positive, but then when we said Ange still didn't have a real crack at it, everything went to. Actually, one positive, he improved the defense, like the players individually, not the defense by itself. Especially Paul and Romero, like they went another level last year.
Okay.
And
yeah, I can agree.
And what's it called? And it didn't take him that long, like for example, Conte and Mourinho, to know like which players are not good enough to start. So that's another positive. And Jacob, I know he's trying to find everything's positive. Knowing Jacob.
Clearly you don't know me, Dietrich. Clearly you don't keep up with my content over on United Spurs of America. Because I've said plenty that's been wrong. Said plenty that's been wrong with this stuff.
I love
and you know, I've always called it how I see it, and some people don't like the way that I approach it. But again, just because I'm a happy person, people have called me a happy clapper. It doesn't mean that I think everything is good at the club. I've also said that in regard, I don't know exactly what we were talking about last, but I was hearing Son as a captain coming off as a negative. Is that what?
No,
I think that's a
positive.
Yeah, I would say that's a positive. That no one's safe. Everyone can get it. Is kind of my mentality with it, especially as a manager. When you're setting the foundations of your reign, you got to show everyone, even the captain that you just appointed captain, you're not doing well, or I think you're looking leggy, then I'm going to take you off. And honestly, to me, Son has been I've been a little bit disappointed with Son as a captain. I think he's been not selfish enough, and he's trying to get too many people involved. Too many times in the final third, I'd rather see him take a crack at it from outside the box if he can. And instead, he passes it to Højbjerg, who has a crack outside of the box. To me, if anyone's going to have a shot outside the box, it should be Son. And I think when he became a captain, I felt like now he's trying to get too many people involved and show like he's this leader, this like. And to me, I need Son to be selfish. I miss the days when Son would just you pass it to him 1-2 touches, off his foot, top bins. That's what I love about Son. So that's what I want to see continue. So that's something I would say negative. Since Dietrich says all I'm going to do is talk about positives, I could talk about both, Dietrich. I'm not like you. You clearly can only talk about the bad stuff.
Okay.
No, but
There is two sides to it. And just a quick point.
Yeah.
I did not ban you WhatsApp. It was one of the mods previously, and it was only for 60 seconds or 600 seconds. I wouldn't ban you unless you said something raw or whatever, mate. So I can't keep up with everything on here, so I'm getting mods on there slowly but surely. But you'll be back on. You'll be welcome back on. But seriously, mate, I can't control everything. I'm still learning how to do this stuff. But I agree with you that, Jacob, if what I took in what you said was right, is in the fact of I don't think Son was a good captain this year. I do not think Son is a good captain, and I do think he needs to get replaced because I do feel the man does us no favours. So for me, that's a negative side, Son being the captain. I don't think he is. I just don't think he is the captain that you need. Would you agree with that?
You know, I last summer went against everybody who was saying that Son shouldn't be a captain. He didn't have the because to me, I don't think you have to be a cookie cutter type of a captain. Like you don't need to be a Roy. You know, a lot of names I heard was Roy Keane. Like, oh, that's a captain, and he'll get in your face and he'll tell you. The Son was completely. And there was every single game I saw Son yelling at people. Every single Son, every single game I saw him getting upset with Brennan Johnson, with Timo, with different people, you know, being on different pages, and he was always very, very vocal, and that whole like, to me, I feel like it's a stereotype, like this you want this aggressive looking like this.
My bad. Go on, keep talking. I was just talking to the person on the panel.
Oh yeah, I saw that comment. Big up, Graham. No,
My bad.
to me, I don't think you don't have to be a certain type of man to be a leader of men. You know what I mean? Napoleon wasn't a big dude, but he did a whole bunch. Alexander the Great wasn't that big of a dude. He did a whole bunch. And to me, you don't have to be a certain, like, you don't have to be what is his name? The guy I'm thinking of, that he became a movie star. Famous photo, Brian, you sent it to me of him grabbing Gaza by the groin.
Vinnie Jones.
Vinnie Jones. See, that guy's a scary bastard. If he told me something, I'd probably do it out of fear. But you don't always have to lead in the same way. So, but throughout the course of 38 games, I really felt like overall, if Son is going to be like this as a captain and not be selfish, I said, you know, then maybe I got it wrong. Son shouldn't be the captain. I think that if he was more selfish, he would have won the Golden Boot this season easily. It was up for grabs. Whoever wanted it.
For me, it wasn't about Son being a captain. For me, my main issue is that I don't like when forwards are captains. For me, I like when it's a defender that looks.
Or central midfielder, Dietrich.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with them too. That's where I'd rather have them.
Or midfielder, yeah, or especially DM. But when a forward's a captain, I never seen like a big team using their forward as a captain in recent times.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Shearer. Shearer was obviously there. Then listen, Teddy Sheringham did it for us. There are certain players that can do it. And I'd certainly much rather forward than a goalkeeper as a captain. But for me,
I don't like a goalkeeper as a captain.
I can't stand it. For me, it's always a Ledley King, a Gary Mabbott, a Danny Blanchflower, a Dave Mackay, the generals in the middle. For me, generally, but that's listen. Each manager has their own for that. For me, I'd want it as a central defender or central midfielder. But then it depends if you've got the characters. And right now, Romero definitely, but obviously,
Romero is definitely my captain choice now.
He's
I
certainly
wish-
put a
in that
stake.
one.
I wish Vicario wasn't a goalkeeper so we can put him captain.
He's another one who I would love to have as captain, but he plays as a bloody goalkeeper, and I do struggle with that one big time because I just don't think a goalkeeper is meant to be a captain.
You're talking about
So-
Vicario?
Yeah.
Vicario.
One thing I will say with Vicario is obviously I seem like I saw him at away games. I won't go into the Levy Bowl this summer or this season. I won't go in there again for obvious reasons. But every time I saw him away, and what people said, you got to remember, his English is second to none. Like he's come over, and apparently, like from all my mates that are big season ticket holders, no matter how they stand on the ownership, have said that man does not shut the fuck up. Compared to Hugo, who is more of a quiet in the changing room, whatever. Vicario is as loud and as communicative as they come. I'm still agreeing with you, Dan. I don't think a goalkeeper should be captain, but the way that I'm hearing Vicario is vocal throughout the game, I think I wouldn't be surprised if you see him as a vice captain or something during his time at Tottenham. But I'm with you.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay, so that weighs that one up. I'm just adding them up as we go along. So we've just said.
I'll be honest
the
though.
negative side.
Sorry to interrupt. Just
No,
in
no,
regards to the
say what
captain
you've got to say.
discussion, I don't think anyone else will be. I see Son. He's going to be captain next year. I think that decision being made. I don't know that is going to get reversed in a 12-month time because I don't know what that would do to Son. I don't know what that would necessarily do to the locker room. But I do agree. I think Romero's English is coming along too. He's speaking a little bit better English. As a goalkeeper, I played goalkeeper for about 18 years of my life. And I was always the most vocal one on the pitch as well, just because I'm fucking standing back there doing nothing. You know what I mean? Like I can see it from an angle in which certain players couldn't. So I've always sympathized with Hugo as a goalkeeper, but always felt like it could be better. You know, if we had a guy in the center of the park, not the back line, not the front line, center of the park. To me, that's kind of where I think the general should be. But we don't really have a guy like that. I don't want James Maddison as my captain. He cries at the ref the most. Every time he gets touched, he falls over, cries to the ref. That's not captain material to me. I don't know.
No, it's not. And yeah, Maddison for me is definitely he's definitely not captain material either, because we haven't got many that you can actually say is captain material, basically. I think Romero is our first choice on that one. But right, so we've just said a negative thing, if I got that right. Keeping up with everything isn't that easy. Give me a positive side of this season, of the past couple of years, of the club coming upwards. Whoever wants to take that one?
I would say the quality in positions has gone up. The quality individual, you know. I would also say my main big from last year's to this year's in recent history is the lack of center backs. Now we got three that we like all of them. You know what I mean? And it's almost where do we fit Dragusin in is where fans are a lot of the time is how do we fit him in because we want this guy to play. We don't want him to get fed up on the bench. We think he has quality. And to me that is a positive as well as in the midfield as well. It used to be Harry Winks and Ndombele in the midfield. To me, I mean, I know Sarr, Basuma, and Madison ain't the bee's knees every single time it come around, but surely that's better than Harry Winks. Even Oliver Skip is better than Harry Winks, in my opinion. So the fact that has gone up, Bentancur as well, I think that he's a good addition into that midfield. It almost felt like at a moment in the beginning of the season, it was like, well, how do we
He didn't have a great season, though, did he?
No, I didn't.
But I think that was down to injury.
Absolutely, mental and injury. I mean, there's a famous athlete here in America. His name is Derrick Rose. He won the NBA basketball MVP. He was the best player in the league for a year. Blew his knee out, came back, blew the other knee because he was trying to compensate. It's a mental thing, and really, like it can in so many in a little large, it's always going to be magnified. When you're coming back from an injury, and then to get re-injured, a different injury, so quickly to coming back, you gotta kind of feel for the guy, but at the same time, uh, sorry, my son is driving me crazy. Um,
That's okay. We've all
but
had him, mate.
I felt like our midfielders, there was a lot more to them than there was in the last season. I know you asked for positive, now I'm going to a negative. Sorry, Dietrich. In the front line, uh, 1 out of 3 is okay most of the time, decent, sometimes good, and that's just not good enough. I've been spoiled with Harry Kane, so to me, that's the standard I've had, and the drop off is significant to Richarlison. We never replaced Harry Kane. We never got a backup for Harry Kane. That was why I used to scout strikers in the championship all the time. Oh, here's a cheap option. Levy could go buy, and that we could at least back up Harry Kane. So then when Harry Kane does eventually leave or whatever, hurt his ankle, we have someone to back up. And when Richarlison is the level that you're at after that, bro, it's going to be tough. But overall, I would still say from an 11 standpoint, we have 3 center backs, whereas I hated all of our center backs at one point. And
Yeah.
left backs, when we saw Reguilon play as left back, it was the only reason I think fans got hyped up about it was because it wasn't Ben Davies. And to me, Destiny, I've been hyping him up maybe too much, but I've said I think he's top 3 left back in the world right now, in my opinion. He's got to clean up a lot. He still has to improve his discipline and his defensive side a little bit, but that is a little bit down to tactics when he's pushing so far up. I saw him as a second 9 at times this season. I saw him as that holding 8 at times this season. And this is going to tie into a point that I think I've heard from you, Dan, at least maybe in the comments or something like that Ange doesn't adapt. And this is one of the areas that I've noticed where he did throughout the season. He did adapt. Destiny was pushing into all these crazy different areas in the beginning part of the season. And then when we went down to 2 fullbacks as our center backs with Royale and Davies, then he played one game where he was still kind of doing this crazy stuff. Destiny's all over the top line. And then you kind of saw we got super exposed because Ben Davies and Emerson Royale, obviously. Then the next 3 games, Destiny wasn't pushing as far forward. He was holding his position a little bit more to be that help for Ben Davies in that. And so I think that there are tweaks, there are minor adjustments and stuff to me that at least makes me feel as well that Ainge isn't this naive, stubborn manager that's rigid in his ways. He will adapt and tweak. He's just going to stick to his philosophy. And that's something I could respect. I've always said in a first year of management, I appreciate more consistency to philosophy rather than adaptability to circumstance, at least in your first year. Now, in your second year, maybe you're a little bit looser with this, but as Ange Postecoglou coming into all these new players, he's got to say, this is who I am, this is what I expect, this is what I want. And then if it's, it's City or if it's Arsenal, if it's someone, now we're going to change and adapt because Mo Salah's out there. I think that would show too much adaptability to circumstance. And I prefer a rigid, no, I'm digging my heels and this is me. This is why I'm going to do this. Because in time, once these players are clicking, once we have the quality in certain positions, then we will be able for all intents and purposes, every single game I've never felt like we were completely out of it. I just felt like we were completely useless. I just felt like in the final third we do horseshoe Hotspur, non-creative, no incisive passes. That was our problem, was a lack of lethal ability, which to me, that led to the goals being conceded on the other end, making our defense look so bad. Because in the first 6.5 minutes when we are Newcastle away, before Isak gets that first goal that goes up, 6 minutes, 40 seconds, Timo Werner does his best Zlatan impression and tries to hit a ball on the volley after it's been crossed over the top. Instead, he had time. He could have just laid it off to Son, or if it was anyone else, they could have volleyed it. That's Kane. He volleys that in every time. But my point being is that has happened. There's another game. I can't remember who it was. Brennan Johnson, 5 minutes in, misses a sitter. These instances change the whole outlook of the game, in my opinion. Because if we go up 1-0 to Newcastle, that Isak chance that we let in behind, that's 1-1. Now that Anthony Gordon won, it's not so much on Van de Ven to hold his ground. You know what I mean? So I just think in every game I can go back and be like, this is the moment where we as players lost it, not the tactics, not Ainge reluctance to substitute players. That's just my opinion. But I know I kind of was a long form answer of things I feel positive about from last year going into the next year. I think also a full offseason with everybody as well is going to help. Allegedly, we're trying to get business done early. We have 6 preseason games. That's 2 more than last year. Some of those being in England, and one of them being at our own ground. So, there's hope that if we do business, we can progress. That's what I want to see:
Okay.
a progression and a trophy. Give me that Carabao Cup. Everyone laughs at the winner of the Carabao Cup. They say, "Oh, Klopp was tired that he got the Energy Cup." All right, let's go win it. They can laugh at us. I don't give a damn. I
Well,
want that
that
cup.
was one of the negatives. We didn't win a cup, basically. That was one of the negatives. But so basically, to cut it short, what are you saying your positive is? Because you went through
Me?
quite a few things there.
Yeah.
What are you
I
saying
would
that
say
positive is?
Ange's consistency and philosophy throughout
Okay.
all the bad things, and individual quality at every position, not every position, but most
Okay.
positions in our starting 11, the quality's been improved.
Okay, I've got your point there. And right, just the thing I've got to do right here is what's the point FC? I don't know how that happened, mate. I will sort that out. I've tried actually banning you to bring you back into it. That's why I've been messing about on the YouTube thing. I will get you back on the channel. It wasn't meant to be whatever ban or whatever. It wasn't me. It was one of the mods. I will sort it out, mate, because you are regular on here and I know you just like to be comical. So I can only say sorry for that. I'm still looking and learning. I'm in the dashboard at the moment, and your name's not even on it as banned. So I think it's just a little timeout or whatever. But I do apologise, mate. I didn't expect that to happen quite like that. That's why I'm still learning. So, Brian, give me a positive.
Well, a positive. I'm trying to think what I've given so far. Well, I thought I gave mine in this round, didn't I? We've gone on again. I mentioned the captain being substituted. Are we doing another round of?
That's right. Yes. Sorry, it's just where I've been trying to do 5 things at the same time.
Don't try to get me to say 2 positives in a row, mate. It's 2 positives make a negative with me.
All right. So go on then. You can start. Go to the negative side, and then I'll come to you, Dietrich.
Okay, negative.
I have some.
Go on, Dietrich, you go. I've got a thing now. I've got to think.
Yeah.
Go on, you go.
Actually, one positive that just came through my mind is other players from other clubs now want to play for Ange. So that's a positive.
Okay, fair enough.
Players want to join Ange. Another one is forget about the clinical side, but
I know, I've got a negative.
our forwards create chances without Kane. We score goals without Kane. That's a positive. And we're not scared of the big teams. Where you, like in the past when you used to play low block, like we attack the big teams now. So that's about it, yeah.
No, I'll go with that. So go on, Brian.
Yeah, big negative for me is hopefully it will get changed this summer. Is Ange's backroom stuff. I really thought Jedinak would be very, very pleased when I first saw him come in. But obviously we've seen Ange has said he wants to make changes both on the field and off the field. I want to see changes there because you look at it. I can't work it out with Ange Postecoglou. I am very, very Angean, very, very Angean. But I'm trying to work out with everywhere he goes, he always has a different backroom staff. Everywhere he goes, he never brings people with him. Now, you've got to look at that and say he's taking in loads of different information from loads of different people. So he's always thinking of new stuff. But then you think about, does he need continuity of having the same staff? Like where Poch goes, he takes everyone. And other managers, they take their backroom staff. I don't think Jedinak has warranted a second. I haven't been impressed with the backroom staff, but that's been a little while now, hasn't it? with Tottenham. So I'm hoping a negative, I would say, would be Ange's
And
backroom
Ryan
staff.
Mason.
Not Ange, who I'm very passionate about in the other way, but I think the backroom staff, or his coaching staff, should we say, may need some tweaking.
Okay, so we can definitely say that is a positive side. Tricks, you've already give your positive sides.
Yeah.
And I think Jacob, you already did. So on the negative side again, well, for me, on the negative side is that we did not try really any of that youth team for barely 5 minutes here or 5 minutes there.
Yeah, that's
To me,
a negative.
To me, that is definitely a negative. He had chances there where he could have used them, and he just maybe 1 or 2 minutes he did use them. So there was times he could have used them more. I mean, if anything, he could have tried using them when we played bloody Arsenal or whatever, instead of sticking bloody Davis there. There was times he could have used and should have used that negative. Youth club. So for me, that is a down and out negative. What do you think?
Do you remember when he used Brian Gill instead of Mikey Moore Donnelly?
Yeah,
like a player that's not gonna play and never played like almost all season, but then he brings him out of nowhere. For me, another negative. Did we say stubbornness for the style of play? Did we mention that? That's one negative. Another one is he waited after we got pumped by Chelsea, Arsenal, and other clubs to put Dragusin, Van de Ven, and Romero. That took so much time. And another negative was when he knew that Emerson was gonna get rinsed by Luis Diaz and Saka, but he still played him at left back.
Okay.
So that's a negative.
He should have definitely used that youth team. I mean, Brian, what do you think on that?
Well, listen, I'm a very, very, very big promoter of the youth academy and what we've got coming through. I made a huge thing, and I was getting loads of stick on it on Twitter when Newcastle started playing that 17-year-old, and they were like, "Yeah, but they've got injuries. They've got injuries." I was like, "Well, so do we." And you look at it, Liverpool won a Carabao Cup, playing with a lot of their youngsters. Listen, I understand they might not all be ready, but what I don't get, and I always say this, I don't understand why people like Brian Hill and players that we know their future isn't at Tottenham Hotspur, how they were getting minutes over people that are the cornerstone of our future and the heartbeat of it. These players, people like Jamie Donnelly, would I have rather seen him come on for 30 minutes and foul or try and not have an impact, or would I rather watch Brian Hill for 30 minutes to see what he can do? I am picking Jamie Donnelly every single goddamn time, because Brian Hill has had his moment. He's had his time. He hasn't gone and done it on loan when he's gone out there. Jamie Donnelly is ripping up the youth or the league he's in, and he deserved minutes. Mikey Moore came on, all right? He only got a few minutes. The guy is very, very special. We've spoken a lot last season about how we've got to create a pathway for these youngsters, whether it be immediately loans and then coming through. So then we get it. We create the pathway, but then we don't use it. I would have loved to have seen more of Jamie Donnelly. I would have loved to. I don't say he's a single player, but Jamie Donnelly deserved more minutes, 100% in my opinion. 100%.
Right.
I was just going to say that I was looking at Brian Hill's appearances, and he came on versus Everton when we drew 2-2. There's no Jamie Donnelly on the bench, but there was Dane Scarlett, I guess. And then when he also came on versus Chelsea, but there was only Mikey Moore.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, Jacob, is I would rather Jamie Donnelly on the bench than Brian Hill, or There shouldn't have been players that weren't going to be part of Spurs' future.
I agree, but Brian Hill's making over 70, 80 grand a week. You can't just say,
Yes.
I'm going to put.
No way is he. No way is
He's-
Brian Hill on
He's
80
on about.
He's on
about
75.
60 or
Last
70.
time I remember, he's on 75.
Well, I'm going to have to check this. If that is true, then I've got a big negative coming up.
Well, I mean, overpaying players, that's been a negative for a long time. But, like, that's what I'm saying. As much as I hate Brian Hill, I've never liked Brian Hill, Brian. I've always wanted Adama Traore, and I got a lot of stick for it. But Adama Traore brought a hell lot more to us than Brian Hill has brought in the, 4 years that we've had him. But my
I've got to
point
agree
being
with
is, you don't?
I do agree with that. I'm
Oh,
agreeing
you
with
do.
you.
Just because even this year, Adama Traore had a game-winning goal and a game-winning assist, one versus United. But either way, I'm not here to prop up Adama Traore. More so to agree that Brian Hill is shit. I've never wanted to see him. I never wanted him at this club. But I feel like he is a symbol of the past. I'm hoping he's a symbol of the past of the way that we used to do things. The buy, loan you back. Here's 20 mil for him. You can have him. Then we loan him for 3 years. He's just hanging around. That's again, I relate it to the four-letter word that everyone hates.
40. He's on 40k. He's on 40k. I was
I
about to say
thought he
75.
was on a bit more than that.
I'll show you. Wait, give me 2 seconds, Dan. Give me 2 seconds.
I believe you.
I'll just quickly bring it up. Look, I'll just say just for look. If we go here, look, this is the 24-25 payroll, and if we go here, where is Brian Hill? He was on the 40 grand. 40 grand. Where's it gone? Where the hell has he gone? Brian Hill. There he is. Brian Hill, 40. Thank God. Thank God. Because if he'd been on more than Mickey van der Ven, Bissouma, I would have been like, yeah, okay. No way. Yeah. So that's saying 40. So yeah. Now I'll stop sharing the screen, sir. I'm praying to God that's right.
He makes over $2 million a year. I know it's only 40,000 a week, but $2 million a year for Brian Hill.
Yeah. Well, Cameron Carter-Vickers. Cameron Carter-Vickers never played a competitive game for Tottenham, and before he went to Celtic permanently, he made £7 million in wages. Didn't even get on the pitch.
Nothing surprises you at Spurs, does it? So that was your negatives. And Dietrich, give me yours.
Damn,
I know the list is big for you.
Yeah. Did we mention set pieces?
Nope.
So set pieces number 1. Absolutely disgraceful last season. The amount of goal we conceded, and we barely scored any headers. Another one would be how we struggled against the mid-table teams, like the Fulham and the Wolves. We couldn't break a low block team, so that's a negative. So yeah, that's about it.
I can totally agree with that one, because he should have seen that long before he did. He was well behind on that. I'll agree with that one.
Actually, I have another one. I have another one that's funny. We started the season with like 4 or 5 left backs and finished this season with 0. All of them injured or got sold. So I thought it was a squad game, but clearly we're not good at managing a squad. Last season we did not manage well, so that's a negative.
Okay, yep, I'll give you that one. Brian?
Yes, what are we doing now? Is it positives or negatives?
You got one negative to make.
Oh, Jesus. It's such a... You know what? My head computes so many. It's like, which one do I give?
Yeah, it's just where I'm trying to do different things at the same time, because I'm trying to find a way how to cancel out this where Charlie blocked him for 600 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Seconds.
I'm
doing a bit of both.
Very, 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 very easy negative for me. Our absolute horror show defending at set pieces. But I will say this isn't an Ange thing. This has been a Tottenham thing for a while. This has been this has been an issue at Tottenham Hotspur for a long, long time. It was just amplified with obviously the end run of the season, and obviously Vicario being muscled out a lot, which obviously made a difference when Dragusin came in, as we all saw. But yeah, our absolute. Our pathetic excuse of defending set pieces. It got to a point. Listen, I remember the North London derby against the Filth. Literally every time they got a corner and scored 2 goals, and every time I bet every single Spurs fan was like, "Oh shit, here we go." Or any time there was a free kick anywhere near the box, it was like, "Oh, here we go." It was embarrassing. It was absolutely embarrassing. So yeah, definitely set pieces.
Yeah, I would say set pieces was one of the worst ones for me, and it took him so long to bloody get it. It was bad without a doubt. I mean, so Jacob, give me a negative.
No, but when someone said Jacob looks like Dragusin, I cannot get the image out of my head now. You look exactly like Dragusin.
No, he does like the Vladimir type bottom, and he does the mustache, but with the goatee too.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to look into it. I'm on negative.
Yeah.
Well, I was looking at salaries. The negative is Tanguy Ndombele is our highest paid player. That's a negative. That's actually like crazy to me. 10.4 million a year. I mean, I guess if you're like tallying them up, that doesn't really count then, because have you already said a negative is we pay too many people too much money to do nothing?
No, we just they only really came up with Brian Hill, so that hasn't really been
addressed. There you go.
I think
we're overpaying people. There's a negative.
That comes back to Timo Werner as well. That's what a massive part of the problem I have with Timo Werner is the fact that he's our 3rd highest earner.
Yeah.
And I just don't get it. I don't get it. He does not warrant that. Whereas we're saying Ndombele's a big problem, and hopefully that's going, it doesn't look like we're stopping and correcting that.
I will say it does seem like we're not doing it as bad, because if we would have signed Timo to a 2 or 3 year deal, I would say I would agree 100%. But I probably agree about 60% with you there, Brian, because yes, it is high astronomical wages, although we don't know the restructure. Maybe they restructured the percentage divvied up, because they also restructured the buy-on clause at the end of it. So I would assume that some of it got restructured. My hope is that we've restructured to not pay 100% like what was released when we initially signed him in January. So if it is still 165 a week, that is atrocious, but at least it's not 165 a week for the next 3 years, like with Tanguy. Or let me just rattle off some of these names that we set, like Richarlison, 90 grand a week. 90 grand a week for Richarlison. Ben Davies, 80 grand. Like, he's going to be making more than James Madison, Christian Romero, Dan Kulusevski, Hoy Pierre's over 100 grand a week as well. You know, it's not as bad as it has been, although I do think that is not good, Brian. I do agree. Like, paying 165 a week for Brian is part of the negative of that deal. But a part of the positive of the deal is, you know, he's not going to just be deadwood collecting a paycheck like some of these people are, at least.
But Jacob, we're paying 165 a week to a player that's going to be out for 3 months. So that's a waste of money.
And that's if he even comes back very well from that injury, because that's a hamstring injury and it's meant to be a level 3.
So in a way,
you're saying Berner's not going to play for 3 months? Is that what you're saying?
He's got a 3-month injury at the moment, yeah.
Yeah, he's 2
at
months
least
out.
a 3 months.
3 months from now, or 3 months from when the season starts?
From when we signed him.
From when we signed him. And on top of that...
Well, that still puts him right about when the season starts, right?
Yeah, but he's going to be getting back. He's not going to get a full pre-season under Ange. He's not going to be going full throttle like Ange wants every player to be doing. Listen, pre-season for me I always say, and this is why I'm standing by Brennan Johnson, because I always say that
I'll be right back. I got a diaper to change, but I'm listening.
I believe a player should always get a pre-season under the current manager. I always believe that. And obviously, Brennan Johnson didn't get that. If Brennan Johnson carries on the way he did this season, next season, then I'm going to, have to swallow some humble or eat some humble pie and say, okay, I got it wrong, and say, yeah, he's not good enough. We saw how important it was for Pochettino that he got all his players in early so they can play to his fitness structure and everything. And Werner won't get a full pre-season. He'll be there for parts of it, but they're going to have to monitor him, aren't they, Dan? They're going to have to monitor his fitness.
It's just luckily he had a whole 6 months. He had a whole 6 months of Ange ball, so hopefully that's my hope with this whole missing the off season. Brennan Johnson, I always said that that was my hope as to why he was so bad, was that he didn't have a full. He was kind of just thrown into the water without any swimming lessons. But again, you're a footballer, so like you already know how to swim, motherfucker. But anyway, not meaning to talk about Brennan there. Just wanted to iterate that I think that that's my hope in regards to that Timo. Why I'm not too concerned, I guess, about that Timo injury, because in regards to him betting in the offseason, he already had 6 months of it, and he was thrown into the deep end, and he didn't struggle as heavily as Brennan did initially. So there's hope. Again, it's overall a negative deal, in my opinion, but there's still positives within the negatives. I feel like every negative that's been mentioned, I can think of 2-3 positives within those negatives. Maybe that's just my general take on life, and that's why people like to call me a happy clapper or whatever. But honestly, yeah, man, I think that. Yeah, sorry, I got to change this diver. But yeah, I agree with you there. Just, I'm not concerned about Timo Werner. Like, Timo Werner's played as good as he's going to play for us next year. We saw it already, I think.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get nothing particularly out of the man. I do think I just think it was a terrible sign.
He has a third grade injury, so he has to get a, what's it called?
He could need an operation.
Yeah, he needs an operation, so he might be out for at least 6 months.
Yeah, if he's got a tear, then that's like, then if it's a tear, then it's the same as Van der Ven, it's fixable. If it's a total rip-off, that could, like a total sever, that can end a player, basically. So that definitely doesn't show a positive side. Right, so where were we? Positive or negative? That last one was negative, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I should have just done all the positives and all negatives. I thought I'd throw it back to fourth and everything, and yeah, that's going to be hectic. But I can only try. Now, on the positive side of it, I do like the way Ange has tried to keep communication with the fans. I know we can bring up a negative side to this, but I do like the way he actually tried to keep communication with the fans. Where a lot of managers, they've been very 50-50 with it. I know he shot himself in the foot a few times with it, but personally, I do like the way he has tried to keep a positive with it, like to talk to the fans. I mean, Brian?
Sorry, say that again. So I was just dealing with a message that came through. Say again.
I like the way Ange has tried to keep connection with the fans. Yes, he shot himself in the foot just a few times and not far off in the face, but he has actually tried to keep a positive connection with the fans.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm 45 in a couple of weeks' time. I've supported Spurs all my life, but obviously been watching Spurs and going to Spurs since I was 7 years old. And through all that time, the managers that I felt a huge connection with was obviously, God rest his soul, Terry Venables.
Mm-hmm.
Martin Jol, who I adore and is the sole reason that I am Levy out. Harry Redknapp, Pochettino. And what Ange came into, that's 4 managers in the best part of 45 years of life where I felt there was a connection between the fan base and the fans. Sorry, the fan base and the fans, the fan base and the manager. Martin Jol, to me, is just a wonderful man, and I adored him. Harry Redknapp obviously did it. Pochettino, The connection was just everyone was singing on the same hymn sheet on the football pitch, going into games like we're winning. I used to go to games on that last season at Lane, and it used to be like, how many goals are we scoring before half time? We were Ange Postecoglou came in, and I think Ange Postecoglou came in at a time. If you look at all the other managers I just mentioned, I think Ange Postecoglou possibly came in at the time where this fan base was ready to rip itself apart. Was ready, like, obviously the heat on Levy was massive, or as big as it's been. The board, the players, there was absolutely no connection. Fans were ready to go to war against each other, and he had to come in and correct that and lose Harry Kane. What he did at the beginning to unite the fan base and the start of, I think on that part, the connection he has built, obviously, like you said, at the end of the season, I think he started speaking too much and underestimating a couple of things, but people make mistakes. I think he's got the potential to build that back next season, and I have faith that he will do that. And Angus, just let you know, I think it's Pink or it's Travis Scott that is the. I think it's Pink. But
Okay,
yeah,
so Dietrich, what do you think on that one? Do you think Ange being positive and having connection with the fans has been a good thing? Dietrich?
Oh yeah, sorry, I was talking to my mother. I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
Multitasking. So positive.
Do you think that Ange, that he has had connection with the fans and that he has tried, even though it shot him a few times, to be positive with the fans? Do you think that's been a positive?
I don't think it's been a positive personally, because he opened his mouth way too many times and should have just kept it short and sweet.
Bro, it's his job to open his mouth
Hang
before
on,
and
let
after
Dietrich
games.
finish. Let Dietrich finish.
Sorry, you're right. Dietrich, I'm sorry. Dietrich.
No, it's okay. No, I understand. It's his job. But sometimes you know that the media in England, like, they're trying to bait you to say something. Just use it against you.
Yes, they do.
So that's why I'm saying, like, Ange, you should be a lot smarter. Just be careful with what you say. For example, every signing comes through the door under my say. We all know it's not true, so why would you say that? Just, you can be honest, but sometimes keep honesty to a certain limit. Don't go overboard, and don't be like, what's his name, Nuno. Talk as little as possible. But positives from him talking, I would say, yeah, he did build a great relationship with the fan base. Especially when everyone was saying we're gonna challenge for the league, and he said, like, let them dream. Typical PR answer, but it's a positive and a negative, so it's between. I'm in between with that answer.
It is a bit of an in-betweener, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
he did actually shoot himself in the foot a couple of times with what he has said, and it has come back on him. Jacob,
Yeah.
you wanted to say?
You can attack me, Jacob. It's okay.
No, I didn't mean to
love,
attack you.
love.
I definitely didn't mean it to be like that.
No, it's okay. No, it's all love.
No, for me, I just think it's like, I always found it like, I've worked in sports media. I was the guy with the camera and the microphone getting the footage of the manager pregame, postgame, after training, before training, middle of training. Like, I've worked in 3 different high level sports at the highest level. Well, it was MLS, that's not the highest, the highest level of soccer in America. And to me, like, I've seen countless managers in the way that they operate in front of a camera and the way that they operate in front of a room full of people, like Dietrich said, that are trying to get that next thing. How is everyone going to click on mine? Because I asked him a question and he said, I found out that the fragilities of this club inside and outside, and hey, they ran with this. He talked about the fans, he's talking about this, and they had to come out and clear it up. There's a guy in my coaching room that was like, let's play the kids. That's a problem. That's why Conte didn't sign with us the first time, was because he wasn't going to get all the coaches that he wanted to get. He probably got told you're going to get Ryan Mason, and eventually he, wanted that $18 million check or whatever it was. So he eventually said, fine, Ryan Mason will work. And, I just, he has to speak. Back to the media thing. Like, he has to say something. Being an Australian man, I can understand. He's just being too open. He's being too, like, he should have reserve a little bit, yes. But, like, to me, I am the same way in the sense my honesty sometimes gets me in trouble in my life. I say things, and because I think that the honesty is the best policy, that sometimes will still get you in trouble. And in the UK culture, I do believe that y'all are more, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but y'all are more like, this is the truth, but let me put some flowers around it, and that's how I serve it to you, rather than here it is. And I think that, like, in the media...
Let me stop you there a sec, Jacob. Let me stop you there. Mate, you have just hit the nail on the fucking head. I don't think America's much better. Not at all.
No, we're the same way.
But that's what I was about to say. I think you've got two different places there where you can pretty much weigh it up, where there's got to be too much flowers about what you say now, because otherwise somebody gets offended or whatever. This is why I get a bit of stick at sometimes, because some people think I'm rude. I just say it how I see it, and I haven't got the nicest way of blowing sunshine up something's ass to make it sound good. And I just believe, say it how you see it, and some people just can't accept that. So carry on what you're saying. I'm making you 100% right.
So that's kind of my assumption as to why it looks this way to certain people, and why you have factions saying, I didn't like it. Like, trust me, I'm a big defender of Ange, but when he said the thing, I can't remember who it was before or after, but he said the thing where I'm not concerned about it. I've never been concerned in my life. I'm not going to start getting concerned about it now. And I was like, that's weird, because we just conceded 2 goals from it last week, and now you're saying you don't care. And then I think since he said that, we didn't concede another set piece goal. And so, like, while I was rubbed the wrong way by how he said it, what he said, and the matter of it, at the end of the day, like, it got cleaned up somehow or another. But, I feel bad for Ange when people are using his honesty as a stick to beat him with. But I understand why. I get the same thing. Like I said, I say things. I don't really necessarily always think them through. I'm just honest. I just say how I feel and think and see. And sometimes it rubs people the wrong way. Like, a real good litmus test is the kind of a man that you would say, if your wife doesn't look good in something, are you going to tell her, or are you going to make her feel better about herself? Do you tell her the uncomfortable truth, or do you lie to her to make her feel better? To me, I'm going to tell you the uncomfortable truth. I know you can flower it up, but, like, at the end of the day, my point is this. You know what I'm saying? That you don't look good in that dress. Now, there's some things I can dress it up around to, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to say, oh, you look good, baby. That's a lie. I don't do that. I don't think Ange is a liar. He's never come across as a liar. Right. I've seen clips from 25 years ago when he's arguing with some journalist in Australia because they were talking shit to him. So, like, the guy is himself, and I think that can get you into trouble, and that's what we're seeing. That's why I don't quantify that as a negative.
Two points I'll give you there with it. There, yeah, I'm probably going to come up with a black eye now because of what you just said, because I'm going to agree with you. When my wife comes in, do I look good? You look beautiful as always, but that dress, no, get it off. Something else looks better. I cannot stand. I personally cannot stand there, and like a lot of my friends know me, only ask me a question if you want an honest answer. And if it's going to be a negative answer, I give them that warning. Do you really want the truth? Yes, I do. And I give them that warning because it's not going to be a nice answer. And 8 times out of 10, my wife looks stunning in what she wears. But sometimes I do have to tell her about herself, like, no, that you look good, but that don't look fucking good. Get it off. I'm already getting looked through the door. But a fact is a fact.
What you talking? What I don't look good in? Yeah,
it's true. Jacob, I just think you banged it, and I've just been called a prick on WhatsApp. Beth, you should know me by now. I'm not a prick. I'm a fucking prick.
This is why I'm very lucky that Ilana doesn't really like talking British Premier League and never ever watches anything I say. So I just get the WhatsApp messages telling me you said you'd only be 20 minutes. It's 3.5 hours later.
Yeah.
That's the ones I get.
I get those too. I was on the most random thing of 2024 happened to me yesterday. It was Lee Gunner's birthday, and he was doing a long stream, and he was like, someone send that link to Jacob, get him on here. And I was like, I've never been on Lee Gunner's show. I've never really talked to him before. And so I was on his show, and my wife was doing what you're talking about, Brian, just text me like, it's almost 2 a.m. You done?
Yeah.
You said you were about to be done. And that was 3 hours ago. So, yeah, it's I always get that too. I do a 90-minute show. I'll be done in 90 minutes, and it goes 2.5 hours. It's like,
mate,
yeah.
I've done it where it's meant to be an hour and a half, and I've been on here bloody 5.5 hours. I know what you mean. I repeat what I say to others. That is the thing with men. That is the thing with football. That is why men can communicate so much easier than women. You can go to the bar to buy a pint, stand there next to someone you don't bloody know. Next thing you know, football gets mentioned, and next thing you know, you haven't even got your pints, and your wife's still waiting outside for you, or your mates are, and you're like, shit, I was meant to go there. Whereas when two women go to the bar, one might compliment the other for its, I don't know, Chanel number 7 or whatever, and when it walks away, it says, see you next Tuesday. I mean, most women don't even like themselves, like other women, should I say. That is where men have it different. And talking about football can definitely drift on.
Yes.
And basically, with that, I'm going to come to one more. We've gone through a few of them, and it's level at the moment. Very, very level. So I'm going to ask last, Brian, what is your most positive side and what is your most negative side of this season as a whole?
Oh my God. Oh, fucking hell. Right, I've got kind of two biggest negatives. And I'm talking football. I could easily say the fact that Daniel Levy is chairman, which is obviously the easiest one.
Forget that side.
No. I'm going to say the two things that really have pissed me off, the major negatives of this season just gone, was one, no replacement for Harry Kane, and two, we didn't take the domestic cup seriously.
Okay. And you're positive?
That we ended the season with the manager we started with. I said it to Dan. I said it at the beginning of the season. That was my number one. I even said Danny. Me and Danny were saying it.
You're right. You're right. I cannot argue that one, and it's terrible that is good, but it's true. D-Trix, what was your most positive part of this season? What was your most negative part of the season?
Most positive side of this season, we kept a manager for 1 season.
Mm-hmm.
That's a positive.
Yeah.
My most negative side of this season, we
Stealing Brian's answer there, D-Trix.
Yeah, but okay. Our most positive, we're self-sustainable. We make money.
Yeah, there you go.
Most negative, well, like always, you play football to win trophies. We didn't win any trophies.
I can agree.
I just say I want to echo something that Mark Cook just said. As I had two negatives, I want two positives, and that positive is massive for me. Massive. Like I have said, for me, he is the signing of the season, and I was talking about across Europe. I think he is absolutely incredible. So yeah, huge positive. Manager spent a whole season, and Van der Ven, without a shadow of a doubt.
Okay. And Jacob, your most positive part of the season and your most negative part of the season?
Of the season or like going forward? So last season, my biggest positive from this season. Sorry, he's upset about something. My biggest positive from this season was Romero stepping up and cutting out all the haters from last summer. Said he was this, said he was that. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. Van de Veen's a big. To me, the biggest positive is the players in Ange Postecoglou. The players we've got that we are all. Because I can guarantee I'm not alone in this thought that is anyone else scared that Real Madrid are going to come snooping for Destiny Van de Veen at any time? I a little bit am. They could even come in for Romero at some point. These players with that quality, that is a huge positive because there are positions in which we've lacked that quality for quite some time. So those are hugely positive. But also, my biggest one I would say is probably Ange Postecoglou. Just everything that he embodies, what he's brought to this club, what he's done for the fans. I know he's upset some people here and there, but hey, every road trip ain't full of smooth highways. So to me, he's my biggest positive. These players, the ones that have quality, are my biggest positive. And the biggest negative, I'm going to say another one, but I'm going to reiterate no trophy. Again, I don't care how long a manager been here 1 year, 2 months, 5 months, 5 years. You got to go out there and win a trophy if you want to call yourself a part of the big club. So for me, I want to be called part of the big clubs. I know we're not the biggest, but damn it, we got some girth, and that counts for something. And it's gotten us this far. So I think that that's still a positive for me. That if we went and we got business done right, we could legitimately push on. And this league is not that strong right now. Let's have it right. Like, this is not the strongest the Premier League's ever been. Man City fumbled and bumbled their way to yet again another title. So it wasn't. I just think that you got to strike when the iron's hot, and things are heating up. So, but still, biggest negative, no trophy. And I'll say another one so I don't just steal Dietrich's answer.
Yeah, you just copied my answer.
Yeah, I did just copy your answer, Dietrich. But it is the biggest negative. No trophy. That's every year. No trophy. No trophy. No trophy. At the end of the day, when I go on the rival channels and I talk about this and that about Tottenham, at the end of the day, it's put your money on the table. And by money, they mean the silverware. So to me, it's embarrassing. But I've lived with it. But that is the biggest negative. The second biggest negative I would say as well is we still got so much damn deadwood to clear out. I know Ange can only do one thing at a time, but you got Dyer out, you got Sanchez out, but you got Hugo out, Jaffet today, Ryan today. But I'm still looking at this list: Tanguy and Dombele, Højbjerg, Richarlison, Ben Davies, Fraser Forrester, which I guess we keep for the homegrown factor, but I just don't know what he does. Giovanni Lo Celso, the Invisible Man, Maynard Solomon, Reguilon, Emerson. I could keep going, but it's kind of boring. So that's my point. We still got these guys we need to get rid of. That's a negative. But I'm glad that the sheets come out 50-50, because I feel like they're neck and neck, the negatives and positives with this club. But I feel a little bit more on the positive side lately, just because again we are in a much better position now than we were 2-3 years ago under Jose, under Nuno, under Conte. So
Okay.
that's a positive.
So what I'm going to go with that one, I mean, I'm going to say the same as everybody. The negative is the fact that we didn't get a trophy. I mean, it's bloody obvious. But for me, the most negative thing was the manager. And it was the way he did not adapt when it mattered. When he made stupid decisions like he did against Fulham. When he made the same mistakes time and time again. And then also done stupid things like trying to put Davis against Saka, like trying to do Christian Royale against bloody Mohamed Salah. And I personally believe that if Ange wasn't so stubborn in set on it's my way or no way and hammering it into the people, when really he's had more time than any other manager to get that team playing his way, because he's had a spare week every time. I mean, I think the only way we could have played less games is if we didn't play in the Cups. He's done good, don't get me wrong, but that is my most negative side of the season. There is points where he should have adapted and stepped down off his bloody high horse, and I feel we could have easily, out of those games we lost, Wolves both times, Aston Villa was just, it happens. Arsenal, I think we could have got a point. Chelsea should have done them. If he would have stepped off his high bloody horse, we would have been in fourth place, clear by about 3 or 4 points. For me, that is my biggest negative about Ange. But he has shown he can adapt. So let's see if he can take it in when he's got his players and into the future as such. And I would definitely say my biggest positive is Vicario for me. We actually have a very good goalkeeper. And that is something I have wanted for a very long time. Because I feel Hugo Lloris should have been gone 4 years ago. Was a good goalkeeper in that, but I think he was well past what we needed 4 years ago. And he was another player that I felt we just hung on to for way too long. But yeah, so the way it looks is pretty even. Is the again back to the point? Is it half empty? Is it half full? That's down to everyone else to make their decision. But it's not all negative. There is positive sides to this one. I know we could have gone on for a lot more, but it's already been 2 hours. Now, people on the side, take your choice. Is it half full or is it half empty? But there's definitely positive there to get it half full. So each their own on how you want to take it, basically.
I just
Right. Go on,
I
Dietrich.
just wish next summer we just buy at least 4 quality players, and I'll be super positive going to next season. If we can get the likes of Eze, Tony, and a defensive mid, another center back, I'll be one of the happiest person in all the fan base. That's my dream, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Honestly, if we buy 4 to 5 quality players, I will stop the Ange hate, and I'll give him even more time.
Yeah, I mean, I've managed to step off it a bit. Yes, all right, we got Werner. I was Ange out straight away because he's picked him whatever and that. But you know what? I've listened to people. I've listened to opinions and that. All right, the window hasn't even bloody started yet. So let's just see what he can do by the end of the window. But for me, he's got a lot of making up to do. So I'm going to leave it at that because I'm going to go get my black eye in a minute. And my wife's literally waiting at the door for me. So
She's got the boxing gloves on. She's going like this, yeah?
No,
don't know
she's
where
going
to play.
UFC gloves. They're smaller.
Yeah, my wife does UFC. She don't do boxing. So in that
Those little
aspect,
4-pounders
I
are
sort of
righteous.
say thank you, Jacob, but I can also say thanks for nothing because I agreed with what you said. So, Jacob, where do we find you? What do you do? When are you doing it next?
Yeah, you can find me at United Spurs of America. That's my channel. I'll be live tonight. In about 2 hours from now, I'll be live doing talking about just everything going on. Dan, would love to have you on. I know you were in the chat once, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get your number," and I just never did. Obviously, it's a person
I'll
with a
leave your number
significant other.
after the show.
Yeah, but would love to get you on sometime. We can chat about
Be more
stuff.
than
Yeah,
happy.
United Spurs of America. That's where you'll find me. I'll be back there, and then if not, you can find me talking nonsense in somebody's chat, and always supporting the channels. That's like I said with Dan. We don't always agree on everything, but that's
You
the
don't
beauty
have
of
to.
life, ain't it? That's the beauty of for me. I've never been a one flavor. I like to savor all the flavors. So I think that opposite sides of every opinion is always good for flexibility of thought and mind, etc. So I appreciate what y'all do. Yeah.
As long as you're willing to at least try and get the other person's opinion. You ain't got to agree with it. You ain't got to respect it, but at least try and get why they have that opinion.
And listening, you just listen. That's the thing about a lot of these online debates. Most times it's because someone ain't listening. It's a lot of times you'll find, like, I kind of said that to you in one of the chats. I don't know whose channel we were chatting with each other, Dan, but I was just saying, like, I think you'd find we agree on a lot more than you'd think because of just the way that I am. I think I'm, pretty loosey goosey about stuff. So, but like I said, man, diversity is the beauty of life, and that's why
Okay.
I appreciate people getting on screen, sharing their opinions, getting in the chat, sharing their opinions. I always tell people in my chat, I'm not here to tell you what's right. I'm just here to tell you what I think, and that's it.
And that's why I like having different people on my shows, and that's why I say everybody is entitled to their opinion. Right, Dietrich, I think we all know.
Yeah,
Well, where do we find you? What you're doing?
yeah. So first of all, I want to thank you, Dan, for having me.
Always a pleasure, mate.
Jacob clearly doesn't want to have me on his show, so thank you for not inviting me. So
Well, Dietrich, I'll tell you this: you got to step it up. Like, I mean, it's all fine looking at the back of Kane holding a golden boot,
yeah,
but there's like apps and stuff you could use if you don't want to show your face. They'll turn you into like an animated cat, and you'll be an animated. You do that, I'm inviting you on, buddy.
I'm joking. I'm just yeah, sure.
The only
Okay,
person
and
I
what-
really put on the stream without a camera is Queen Ellie. That's just because she's royalty. So shout out Queen Ellie. I don't know if she's
Oh, no,
listening,
no.
but
Big up Ellie.
big up to her.
We all love Ellie. We all love Ellie
Yeah.
Spitz. She's just naturally a person that
Yeah.
I feel sorry for her in a way, because she's just that nice that she just wants everybody to be happy, but sadly it will just never happen. She's a lovely, lovely person. Brian, where, when?
Where Tottenham on tour? When normally we do morning brews with Ben and Dave, but Ben is with his lovely lady in Italy, and because I can't get up at 4 a.m. at the moment because of what I'm going through health-wise, me and Dave are doing evening brews every day this week at 6 p.m. UK time. It's actually doing really, really well, so I may be making it a permanent thing. So you'll have morning brews with Ben and Dave, and evening brews with me and a guest Monday to Friday. So yeah, you can find me on Tottenham on Tour. But most importantly, Dan, as always, it has been a pleasure coming on your show. I've got all the time in the world for you. You know that.
Same as I have for you, mate.
And it's always great to come on other people's shows. And Jacob, I haven't seen you for time, brother, like face to face. It's good to see the Kevin Nash, Jack Sparrow, hair down, hair up, Dragusin, top on, top off, baby crying, baby not crying. It's been emotional, Jacob. It's been emotional.
Yeah, that's just a 24-hour cycle for me. Hair up, hair down, this off, that off. Hair up, baby's making me sweat. Baby's yelling. Soon, it's almost bedtime. That's probably why he's yelling. So
Do you know
time
what,
for a
mate?
nap.
That's the positive side of AirPods. But right,
Positive
so
side of
thank you for-
YouTubers like y'all being live. As I'm serious, the creators going live, doing content throughout the day helps me put up with that noise from that guy back there. So appreciate y'all.
Don't worry, mate. It will all slow down. Takes a bit of time. But right, thanks for everybody coming on. Jacob, good to have you on for the first time and that. Look forward to hopefully speaking to you again in the future. Dietrich, you know I love you to bits, mate. Top man.
Me too.
Brian, top fella. And everyone, thanks for watching the show. I know it's been a bit hectic. I just do want to make an apology to What's the Point FC. You I know you're probably not going to see it, but you usually always do come on here. I do love some of your sarcastic comments. Charlie, I already grilled him for it. He just pressed the wrong button. So, mate, that's all I can do is apologise for that one, and that is all I can actually do. But I'm slowly starting to get more mods on here that know how it works. It was just Charlie made the mistake, and that's all it was. So, mate, I do apologise. But everyone, if you can give us a quick like and subscribe. I don't ask very often. I refuse to go through a show asking it every 15 minutes. I mean, get bored. You'd get bored of saying it myself. So everyone, here it is now 22:23. It's time for me to go out and take my beating. If I come back in with a black eye, it isn't because I fell over and hit whatever I hit. It's because I got abused. I'm definitely getting hurt now.
Yeah, you're getting it. You're getting it.
You know it.
Hey,
don't
shout
you?
out- that- that
no,
made me-
no, Brian. Let's change it round. That's going to be the problem. I'm not getting it.
Good night, folks. Good night.
Everyone, have a good night. I'm sleeping on the sofa. Baked potato people, and I'll see you in the future. See
Leave you
later.
out.
Let me start that again. Sorry, Brian, I forgot how.
No, I got it
do
in,
that.
mate. I got it in.
But you didn't do it properly.
And as always.
So that means I get to say it twice. That's a positive. I get to say it twice. And as always, Levy out.
Good night, people.